Welcome to the Facing Line podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about ham radio type things, any sort of radio-like things.
It's just the two of us talking, and that's what we like to do.
Yeah,
it's just talk. So
I'm not Sterling Coffee. I am Marty Soloway, KC1, Charlie Whiskey Florida. What's your call? So you're the Sterling person. Right?
I'm Sterling N0 Sierra Sierra Charlie. Yeah.
N0 Sierra Sierra
Charlie.
We're young hams who like to talk about ham radio. He's an engineer or a person, and I'm just a troublemaker. We haven't done one of these things in a while. We actually haven't done one since I believe we released the last one March 1, and Tuesday will be May 1. Dayton's like May 16. So we probably should keep doing these. We're sorry. Sterling and I are both very busy people.
Yeah, I've been planning weddings, designing invitations and cards and stuff for the wedding parties. We've been also trying to buy a house. We put offers down on houses, but have been rejected because we don't have enough money. But we have a lot of money. It's just like people bring more. You put an offer down for a $150,000 house, somebody's gonna blow your offer by $10,000 above the asking price. It's ridiculous, but that's life down here. And eventually we'll find a house, and then I can put a big tower up, and I'll be so happy because right now I live in an apartment, and I can only do HF when I'm at another person's station or at college or on the roof, and it's very noisy on the roof or in a park around St. Louis. So
we were both on the air for WPX phone, right?
Yeah, that was my first contest for, I think, since sweepstakes of last year. I don't contest much anymore because of I just said that I'm in an apartment and I have to go to a place and plan it out. So I did it from W0 ECC, which is the Steelville E-Layer, as in E-Layer, Missouri, or the E-Layer ionosphere. It's really convenient. Contest station that N0AX Ward has put together. He bought a house there, and he's got 3 towers of amazingness up on a hill with a beautiful takeoff angle. And 600, he runs about 600 watts, has 2 stations, all networked, all perfectly working great, and it's awesome. And then you...
How many points and queues did you guys make?
Oh, geez, I forgot. Like 900 and something queues. I made probably 300 myself, and Ward made quite a few. We had 3 or 4 other people there, kind of rotating through seats, so we didn't have to sit there for the entire duration. We didn't go do the full, I think, 24-hour? 48-hour session. I think we only sat in the chair, had our butts in chairs for up to about 23 or 24 hours total. So it was casual. We weren't like really competing. I had a really good run of 160 queues per hour, which is like a really fast, like one after the other. It was really good for a while, like on, I think it was on 40 meters. It was so nice. He's got a two element 40 meter Yagi antenna that it just blows everything out of the water. You can hear like Germany as well as you can hear Texas and Tennessee, and you can hear the whole world. So we worked a lot of prefixes. I forget how many, but quite a few. And we operated as Kilo Oscar 0 Alpha, which is a unique prefix to KO0A, which is the St. Charles Club. Because W0 ECC, W0 is pretty common, so you won't get a lot of people trying to call you your CQ. I suppose you had K1 Lima Zulu, but I'm understanding you had a much bigger station, could throw a lot more watts in the air, that sort of thing. Or
I had a nice station. I was single op. It was just me. You're allowed to put in 36 hours, but because of a bunch of strategic mistakes, I missed the 20 meter opening the first day, and I probably got in the chair 45 minutes too late, and I couldn't get a frequency low enough in the band. So holding, on Sunday I ran on what we call channel 1, 150.7. But I could not hold it. I got there late. I got there late on Saturday morning, and I got a frequency high in the band, and the rates weren't good. And then accidentally I started running Europeans with the beam pointed south and the radio and lower side bands, and lots of mistakes happened, but I had a lot of fun. I think I finished with for 24 hours in the chair. I think that was good or 23 hours in the chair. That was good for 2,000 Qs, 4.7 million points.
Wow.
A disappointing effort, but I had fun.
Well, that's pretty solid. Not a lot of people get that kind of a score. But yeah. I mean, you're in an upper echelon of contesters.
It was a big score for a clueless lid and a small score for a serious contester.
Yeah. Were you doing remote?
No, I was in person.
Oh, cool.
I was at K1LZ, which is an excellent station.
Yeah. Check it out on QRZ. Is it on QRZ? You got pictures and stuff?
It definitely is a rundown, but there was some antenna damage, but on 10 through 40, there's stacks on every band. So 3 over 3 on 40, 5 over 5 on 20.
Stacks again.
6 over 6 over 6 plus 6 over 6 over 6 on 15, which I made like 5 Qs on 16. on 15, and I think 8/8/8 on 10. But I never used the 10 or 15 stacks. I mostly was on 20 with 5/5 and 40 with 3/3. And those were the workhorse antennas. And
for anybody who's following along at home, when he says 5/5/5, that's 5 elements, 3 Yagis over each other on one tower that are each 5 elements that are spaced, at a certain wavelength, I guess, or wavelength fraction that makes the takeoff angle or the elevation pattern narrow so that you can control your takeoff angle to make it lower or higher depending on which...
You also get stacking gain, which we stack for a couple reasons. Primarily, it is to be able to control the elevation angle to which we are putting the majority of our power, right? So when we have when the band might be very closed in the morning, I might want to be using a very low angle of radiation to reach where I'm trying to go. So I'll use a very high antenna or a combination of antennas. If I have a single antenna at 50 feet, that might be the wrong angle. Or if I have a single antenna at 50 feet or a single antenna at 100 feet, they each may have wrong takeoff angles. Or they might have the right takeoff angle, but there might be a null in the middle of the pattern. So what we can do by combining antennas and feeding them in phase or even out of phase, we can kind of shape those patterns. So that's what stacking does. So
it's essentially... What you're trying to get out of this is basically the same thing as throwing a rock over a smooth pond. You want to make the lowest angle that allows that rock to skip as far as possible. If you have too high of an angle, it'll go under the water or it won't skip as far. If your angle's too low, I guess that's kind of what you want. The angle at which your radiation hits the ionosphere has to be as low as possible.
Well, we don't want it to be as low as possible. We want it to be the right angle for the current time and conditions, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes the top antenna is no good. Sometimes you just want to use the bottom two or the bottom antenna in the stack because the top antenna is too high.
Yeah, it all depends where you want your signal to go. If you want it to go as far as possible, you have to get it low.
It's not even that. It's a time of day thing. It's a conditions at the moment.
Exactly.
You're going in what direction. It's more nuanced than that.
And it takes a lot of skill and practice and understanding of how the world turns, literally how the sun...
And station familiarity.
Yeah, and all of that all comes together to help you decide where should I point my antenna, where should I point my radiation, like elevation beam, all that stuff. I've been thinking about like neural networking when it comes to this kind of thing because
there's been research done on this and AI and neural networking and in ionospheric propagation and radiation takeoff angle. So that's actually been done. I read a very interesting thing I have to find the study about neural networks and ham radio and the idea of we can predict and gain there's a sense of artificial intelligence and having your antennas pointed when at the right radiation angle.
I'm just imagining, pull all of these contesters together who are trying to optimize wherever they're pointing their antennas and elevation, put that all into a neural network, like learning algorithm, and then that will tell a person X at location Y at time Z where to point antenna A, B, C, you know what I mean? Right. That would be a really cool ham radio aspect of neural networking. One of the issues
is that there's more complex math than I can understand, with the idea that because different antenna, you can't say use the top antenna, because the top antenna will do different things at every station. You have to think about terrain, heights, gains, etc. It's a very complex problem.
Right. Put enough monkeys on the keyboard, and eventually you'll
really
get the best
good PhD dissertation or thesis or whatever.
I need to go back to college.
You need to go back to college, Sterling. If you can do that, there'd be somebody who would love to talk to you about it. So we both did that contest. We both used dice stations. We both had a lot of fun, I guess. Yeah, I'm interested to think about that notion of AI and ham radio.
That's the whole premise behind the ham radio 2.0 kind of like idea that we're throwing around. Me and I think Ward Silver started this, and then there's this whole podcast called Ham Radio 2.0, which isn't really... I guess
just
that podcast
is unrelated.
It is kind of unrelated, but sort of related. Sometimes he talks about like kind of the next generation of ham radio, but it's like these kinds of things, big data, neural networking, and using ham radio as a tool to enable machine-to-machine or machine-to-human or human-to-machine communication instead of the old traditional, I got an HF radio and a microphone and I'm calling CQ to contact some guy somewhere else.
Just to prove a point, it was a year and a half ago now or so, I first got the Amazon Alexa voice assistant, which has an open API. Which you can use. And I built something so you could basically say, Alexa, go work Fox 1 XYZ on 20 meter CW on 14200. And, she could pull the right relays to rotate the antenna, oh, I'm sorry, Alexa. There's an I'm not sure if anybody heard that. Alexa's talking in the background now. I forgot that. Every time I say the A word, when I say, hey, A word, there's a machine in my room that picks that up. I'm sorry. So
reprogram it.
You'll have to use the magic. You can't. There are 3 words you can use. There are 2 A words and a C word. You can say the female name A word. You can use Amazon, or you could use computer, I believe. And I say the A word, who shall not be named, the least out of the three, I think.
That's hilarious. I did see, so it's interesting you have Alexa work this guy, but I did see definitely where it's like, Alexa, what are the band conditions? And I'll read off bandconditions.com and say 40 meters is 100%, 20 meters is bad, or something like that.
Yeah, that can tell you the A index and the K index and that sort of thing.
But integrating an Alexa to control your station would be like next level. That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who would like to do that, for a single op station or something. I mean, the notion of like smart station design has been around for a while with, automatic band decoding and, when you show up on the right band, the antenna is, you have the right antenna hooked up to the right radio, etc., with the amplifier tuned and you're ready to fire. Mm-hmm. Next cool thing would be, having the rotator plating in the right place, looking at like, if you could analyze your log, look at your log, see who you're logging, see who you want to be logging that time of day, like during a contest, and then you have, the antenna pointed at the right direction and the right stack combination, If you're working UA zeros, you're going to want to have your, antennas farther north. And if you're working, Gulf mic threes, etc. Yeah. So that's certainly interesting. I'd be interested to know. I think there's actually a forum at Dayton about, this sort of thing. Speaking of Dayton, Dayton's what, 17 days away? 17 days away. And you mentioned there's actually a whole row. Like, so Ham Radio 2.0 row is a row in, I think what's the A building? That building 4? Same building with the league.
Yeah, that building where you find ARRL, and it's gonna have the collegiate folks. It's gonna have some next gen ham radio science, citizen science, and some speakers. There's gonna be it's not like a forum room, but there's gonna be kind of a floor where a person will give a small lightning talk, and then there'd be like a Q&A session. And I'll throw up some stuff in the show notes about that. Come and visit, and if you want to volunteer,
Sterling and I will be there.
Yeah, we are volunteering, and if you want to volunteer, you can let me know. Just email me at sterling@n0ssc.com or you know how to find me.
We're on the internets, baby.
Yeah.
You can certainly find us. Similarly, we will be, I guess I kind of hinted at this, but both of us will be in Dayton. If you see us, stop us, giving us a hard time, complain, say hi. Also, we're going to be podcasting from Dayton. We're still figuring out the logistics.
Yeah. We're going to set ourselves up in the 2.0 row somewhere around there, and probably right next to Ham Radio 2.0 podcast. He's actually going to be there too. So we'll all get together. It'll be cool to have a mashup. We're also going to try to interview whatever people show up.
If you have somebody you want us to talk to, we would love. Please let us know. Similarly, I think maybe Saturday afternoon, probably once things slow down a little bit, Sterling and I will probably rove around with a recorder and talk to some vendors and whatnot. And
just like everyone else,
just like everybody else. But if there's a forum you're interested in but you can't make it to, or an idea that you think is super cool, and you want us to try and sit down with, a salesperson or a person who is presenting a paper on something, or if there's somebody you want us to hear from, please, send us an email or a Twitter DM or Facebook message or whatever. You know how to find it.
For real. And more stuff on the more youthy side, like the 1% or I think 12% of hams are below the age of 26 or 30 or something. Like the median.
What is it? 66% of statistics are made up on the spot.
Exactly. That's what I just did. There was actually November 8 RMA released his survey data, and he has some really good stuff. I haven't taken a look at it, but I know from surveys past, 12% of hams are below the median. Well, that would make 12%
no sense. Of the people who answer his survey.
Answer the survey.
Which is a thoroughly flawed methodology, because you have to think about the people who are going to take an online survey.
Oh yeah, surveys online suck. But
those are people.
They're still surveys, because
I mean, I hate to say it, but I think it's a pretty thoroughly inaccurate way to represent the hobby, because you have to think about the fact that the people who have the capability to use an online survey are your grandfather.
Right.
I.e.
aren't the older folk. But
right.
even
so you have to distribute that for that. Even though the data in there is great. The data in there is terrific.
Because nobody else does even the league, they don't produce a survey, or the IRAU doesn't produce a survey, like a mail out or an email and online survey.
What amazes me is
cover all the bases. So what we do instead is random people decide, I want to know how many, what's the average age of hams, and how many people are into DXing versus, I don't know, rag chewing and that sort of stuff.
It amazes me that the league doesn't publish, annual or biannual or, every 10 years, like
a census,
a ham radio census.
Yeah, because I don't know if they know or don't know what their demographic is, and I think they do. In general, hams are the older generation, like age 50 and beyond, and I think that's where they target most of their stuff to. But and they do like the APRS Foundation. They used to do the youth forum, or I guess they still support the youth forum at Dayton, but they used to do the youth column on the web. And occasionally they random, like Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative, occasionally they randomly like do stuff with younger folk, but I don't see like the full like on, let's focus on the young people. Okay, maker movement. Okay, like hacker movement. Those things, they leave some spots to be desired. I feel like they could do a lot more.
I just like to I think you would find, tell me if you agree or not, that there's a lot of concern at ham radio about, there's not going to be any more people on ham radio. Ham radio is going to die.
Yeah, but everybody thinks it's all dying.
I would conjecture,
true, but also not.
I would conjecture that if somebody did a quality demographic survey, they'd find that ham radio isn't dying.
Right, and I kind of posit it. So I wrote "Millennials are killing ham radio," and that is the truth to me at least. And it's clickbait and it worked because on my website nzrsc.com, it was the most viewed article I've ever written. Like I think it's up to 10,000 something views, and I got tons of email on it, lots of hate mail. But most people were like, "You're right." What I'm saying is ham radio is changing, is moving to things like IoT and machine-to-machine communication, like I was talking earlier, and like to hacking Arduinos and hacking RF, like with that HackRF and USRP software-defined radio. Less and less of it's going to be this traditional ham radio. I think that's going to still be here for a long time. It's not going away. There's still always an influx of hams that are into that, but the majority of what ham radio really is technological innovation and the I guess,
preserving the radio art, or whatever it says in Part 97.
Science. Yeah, exactly.
The art and science of radio communication. I forget what the exact text is.
And real, this sounds kind of not hypothetical. What am I thinking of?
Hyperbole?
Maybe also that, but when you're hypocritical, that's the word. This sounds hypocritical because everybody's like, oh, real ham radio is this. But I think real ham radio is actually advancing the state of the art. And we've already we skipped by that because we have Wi-Fi, we have LTE. But I think the biggest ham radio, like hobbyist radio movement, not necessarily ham radio, is IoT. Look at the Things Network from Europe. It's kind of supported by a lot of companies, but the majority of people who are actually using the IoT, putting up IoT gateways, are non-hams who are putting together gateways and little transmitters based on the ESP8266, just a little super low cost transceiver that says, "Hey, gateway, my beer's temperature is 42 degrees." And then it sends out every 5 minutes or something. And they also, there's one guy on YouTube, Andreas Scheib. He's a Swiss guy who always introduces himself as the guy with the funny Swiss accent. He's the guy doing the LoRa maximum range testing. And I think that's real ham radio. He's really just doing ham radio. He's trying to maximize the range of this thing, and it's cool. And I think over in Europe, that's what it's turning into. So that isn't explicitly ham radio. Obviously, it's unlicensed spectrum and in Part 15, whatever Part 15 is in Europe. But I think there's a lot of applications here in ham radio in the Part 97 spectrum that we could take from, chirp modulation, for example, is a very robust, very slow, compared to CW versus single sideband when you're in the digital realm. It's slow. It's designed for very small packets, like packet radio, for example, would be perfectly replaced with LoRa or chirp modulation. LoRa being a proprietary mode, but it's kind of open. It's open but closed. But chirp modulation is just a modulation. It's like FM or AM. It's not proprietary or anything. And that would be cool to have it in ham radio. Lots of vendors like Gotenna, Beartooth, and all the things that connect your phone to a device that allows you to do texting off the grid. Those all use chirp modulation because it's robust. It goes a long way. It's designed for short characters, short messages, and it just works. So yeah, we should try that. I know LoRa Ham is a GitHub that Travis Goodspeed started up, but I think it's kind of deprecated or work has slowed down on it. There hasn't been any commits for months. But it was basically taking LoRa and putting it into the ham radio spectrum. LoRa being, if I didn't explain it already, is the IoT
standard chirp protocol.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of the DVD versus Betamax, VHS versus Betamax. VHS is LoRa, and I think that's what's kind of taking over everything. You got Sigfox, you got Zigbee, all these other ones, but LoRa's so far been the best.
Zigbee was kind of early to the scene, right? But they're kind of backing off.
I mean, Zigbee was kind of the OG. They were there before everyone else. But everybody suddenly got interested into it, and there was places Zigbee, because Zigbee was a very close range, so you'd use Zigbee in your house, but LoRa goes a lot farther. So that's where you have you want to know where your cows are in the field, and so you use LoRa because they might be 2 kilometers, 3-4 miles away, and that would still meet the range. But Zigbee wouldn't go that far. I think Zigbee has a range limitation almost like Bluetooth, maybe 100 meters, maybe more like Wi-Fi or something. I don't know. But they all have their pros and cons, and I think LoRa meets a lot of the pros. But I don't think you actually use LoRa inside your home, to control your lights per se.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Do more research on that.
We will hear more about it in Dayton, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which reminds me of, look at that segue.
Yeah, Dayton.
Dayton.
Or actually, Xenia. Sorry, it's Hamvention. Xenia Hamvention.
Hamvention at the Greene County Fairgrounds in Xenia, Ohio.
Yep, that's happening in 17 days.
Are you optimistic?
Yeah, I'm excited. So I've never been to the new fairgrounds. So that'll be cool. I didn't go last year. It was a cluster last year apparently, but still pretty good. It rained and people got stuck in the mud. But it's not truly Hamvention if there isn't just this massive catastrophe.
I was there last year, and certainly things went wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see what they've fixed. Yeah. We certainly haven't heard much from Dara as far as getting information out. They've been very quiet this year, and they haven't really put out a lot of press.
I think they put out just enough to understand that they've hopefully fixed the problem. Like, so parking, for example, there's this whole furniture store that went and foreclosed, and so it sounds like we're going to get to park in their giant parking lot. So that'll alleviate the grounds or something.
There is a Fairgrounds Furniture which rented space, which was a property on, which is a building there, and now we have access to the Fairgrounds Furniture space because they moved out. Their lease was terminated, but that has nothing to do with parking.
We can actually use it for like a forum room or vendors and stuff in there.
It's just another vendor hall, basically.
Okay. Well, neat.
I'm so that should be nice. I'm excited. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Contest University. So maybe we could just talk about kind of the timeline.
Yeah.
So the convention officially starts Friday morning at, I believe, 8 or 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And I would say that people start trickling in Wednesday night and into Thursday night. I'm arriving Wednesday. I'll be at the Crown Plaza in Dayton, which is kind of the contesters' hotel. Wednesday night is the first contest super suite. That's when there'll be pizza and it's a contesters party. All day Thursday is Contest University, which is a program to learn how to contest if you don't know how to do that. That's also the contest at the Crown Plaza. There may or may not be spots left. I believe that's contestuniversity.com if you want to find out more information about that.
I'm sure people will like not be able to show up and spots will open up. That's what I did last year for Crown Plaza, and I'm completely doing that this year too, for getting a room there.
So that's Thursday, and then Friday morning the Hamfest starts, and it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday, I would say, if you're not coming Sunday, you're not missing much. Most of the excitement is Friday into Saturday, and then Sunday people show up, but far fewer people.
Yeah, Sunday winds down, and it's especially a good day for all the vendors to kind of get out from behind their booth and talk with other vendors and a few of the people that remain. I always like Sundays. It's very, very much calmer, and then you have to back up, which sucks, but whatever.
Yep, it'll be a lot of fun, but Sterling and I will be around. There's lots of things to do not during the day. There's a lot of dinners. The contest dinner is a big one. That's Saturday night. There's a top band dinner and a 160 dinner. There's a collegiate dinner. That's Friday night, I believe. Where is it?
It's at a tavern. It's not the pizza place it used to be. It's on Facebook. And if you want to hear more about the collegiate dinner, let me know. Message me or email me, and I'll put some show notes in. But it's on Friday night. Nearer to Xenia than it was Dayton, I think. Because before it was at the little pizza tavern thing in Trotwood, somewhere south of Dayton. But they moved it. I think we outgrew it because there's so many so many collegiate hams that come to visit and alumni and whatnot. So everybody's invited to that who has any college representation out there. And
there's the youth forum that's on Saturday.
So yeah, at Dayton there is. So the big thing about Dayton is there's 4 or 5 rooms of forums all happening at once. At any given time, there's 5 forums going on. You have to go before you go. You have to pick out which forums you want to see, which booths you want to see, who do you want to talk to, all that stuff, and that's what I'm involved with right now. I'm going to be speaking at the APRS Forum on APRS apps, like APRS Droid or Android and iOS apps and that sort of thing. And I already gave you the spoiler is that APRS Droid is probably the best. I've actually written about this on n0cc.com about like what is the best iOS APRS app, and the answer was APRS Droid, which isn't an iOS app. It's an Android-only app. Goes to show you that you should get an Android if you want to have an want to use APRS. But there are apps that will make most of, because it's APRS Droid is the best. There are apps that are come close, but yeah. So little spoiler teaser for y'all. And then I'll be in the Ham Radio 2.0 booth. I don't think I'm giving any other presentations than that, unless there's like a lightning speech thing. I like doing those like 5 minutes and talk about something. And then Youth Forum is on Saturday morning. It's a 3-hour long forum with
it's a longie.
Yeah, and it's really well attended. About 10 to 12 young hams between the ages of usually I'd say
between 8 and 18.
8 and 18. There have been younger and there have been older. Are going to give a presentation on anything that they so please. A lot of supporters there will be giving out freebies for them, and also I think it's one of the forums with the hugest freebies for the crowd. I won a Kenwood F6 $300 dual band quad band handheld that I use for satellite stuff. And people have regularly won like full HF radios and antennas and everything in between. So I have to imagine there's at least $5,000 worth of equipment being given away.
It's moderated by Carol Perry, WB2MGP.
Yep.
Who is a saint.
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
She was on with Neil Rapp on Ham Talk Live a couple nights ago. I'll send a link to that if you want a teaser for that. There's also what's his name, Mason was on that show too, and he'll be giving a talk. M4
SSI
or SII. I can't remember.
SII?
Maybe.
Yeah, SII.
Yeah.
SII, you're right.
Unless he changed it.
No, I think it's SII. Okay. Maybe we'll try and get Carol on before Hamvention. I think we're going to try and push 1 or 2 pre-Hamvention interviews if we can and have time.
Yeah.
So that's certainly something to look forward to. And that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it will be. And I'll come out with another one of those videos that we're just like sitting back in my chair going, what did I just experience? It is such a chaotic, and your mind is going a million miles a second. You're seeing people that you've seen.
You won't be able to see everything.
Years, and
you'll
never
know that you will not be able to see everything.
Yeah, you will never see everything, and you'll meet people that haven't seen for years. It's especially true for if you've been to this thing for a long time. It's a big gathering place for all these friends who've been friends for years and years, but haven't had the opportunity to get together. Like, say one guy lives in California, one guy lives in Germany. They get together every year at Dayton, and it's a whole lot of fun. So yeah, we'll see you there.
We will see you there. Stop us, talk to us, high five us. I think maybe we'll even have some Phasing Line swag. I don't know. I'm going to try and do stickers.
He says that, but we'll see.
I want to do Phasing Line bumper stickers.
That would be cool.
Maybe it'll happen. I want a bumper sticker for me, so we might as well do them for you. If not, I will have laser cut some things for you. Just come up and say hi, and there'll probably be some sort of Phasing Line swag.
Yeah. If not, there's a high five in it for you.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. We had a lot more to talk about, but I feel like we can hold off.
Oh man, we only got halfway through the list. I will mention in 2 weeks after Dayton, I'm going to Friedrichshafen in Germany for the ham radio convention there. And
WRTC is like 3 months from now.
WRTC is in July. The big
DXers KH1 will be on the air in early July. That's number 5 on the most wanted list.
Oh yeah,
hasn't been on the air in over a decade and probably won't be on the air for another decade. They still need about another $75,000, and they are really trying to work hard to get on the air for us. And I support them financially, and I hope you do too. BakerDX.org is where you can find out. Or Baker DX, I should know this. Baker2018.net is where you can go to find out more information about them. So that's awesome. And I think we'll leave it about that. I certainly have some personal stuff to talk about. The Boston Marathon was a couple weeks ago. I did communications for that, but I think we'll hold off.
Yeah,
until next time.
We should make more episodes and talk about more things because we have so many things to talk about.
Maybe we'll do another one of these before Dayton. I think we'll try and do one more of these before Dayton.
Yeah, and get through all of this stuff. Okay, well, cool. That'll wrap. That's a wrap. Neil Rapp.
That's a wrap. Until then, I guess you're the Sterling Coffee guy.
And Zero SSE.
I'm Marty, KC1CWF. You can find us on the internet.
PhasingLinePodcast.com and on Twitter and on Facebook. Just Google
Use your favorite podcatcher, anywhere at all. We'll see you next time, right here on the Phasing Line. 73.
Bye-bye.
For now.
73.
Bye-bye for now.
73. Bye-bye. 73.